era where we have a lot of unknowns, and so districts were asking, you know, well, what can we collect, or what might we collect, and how might we do it? This is just a compilation of considerations for what you might consider gathering data on. So as we look forward to the time when we're back to whatever the next version of normal will be, we can document, you know, what did we accomplish during that time period? How did we provide resources, supports, access for students? How did we ensure that our students, our district's students, continue to make progress? So it's just suggested metrics that you can consider as you plan with your teams.
Sorry, just really quick, Naomi and Melissa, I just wanted to ask, is it okay if I record the rest of the session? Somebody asked if that was okay.
Let me share the other screen.
Naomi.
Don't mean to put you on the spot, Melissa, but if you don't mind talking about this right here.
Alicia, yes, that's fine.
Which is the
okay, thanks.
that can be used to help you gather data around these metrics.
Yeah, no problem. This is just the complementary data collection tool. So on the previous document that Naomi shared, Naomi, it looks like you muted all participants.
Sorry,
can you guys
I'm
hear
not hearing
me?
Anything.
Okay, it looked like we were muted by the host. So can you hear me now?
I did, sorry. I was trying to give control the screen to Nick, but I failed.
Okay.
Yes, I can, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. So the previous document that Naomi shared was just the list of all the potential metrics. And then this is kind of a collection tool for you. So whatever weeks are part of your distance learning plan, there's a column if you wanted to collect the metric or the data related to that particular metric. So again, not saying that you have to collect all of this. This is by no means our COE suggesting that we are going to be looking at all this data. This is really just considerations that your district might have in terms of data collection. And then you could just select the appropriate columns based on the remainder of your distance learning year. So then you have a way to collect it all in one place. So each of the categories, or excuse me, each of the different rows is associated to one of the suggestions from the previous document. So if you put them side by side, you'll be able to see all of the considerations on the previous document lend themselves to each row within this spreadsheet. See, James, you did get to see a spreadsheet.
Well, and you know, one of the things that I just want to note about this is we're moving so fast on implementing distance learning that we're going to be like 2 months from now, and we're going to kind of look back and say, okay, how do we know if what we did worked? And so I think the value of this is by front loading it, but finding that balance between how much are we going to measure versus what can we measure. You know, that way you can keep that focus on implementation, but more so equity, right? So if you have that equity mindset in terms of how you look at this data, you know, one of the other networks we're part of, CWA, Stefan, who's kind of our homeless liaison, was asking, you know, what percentage of your homeless students are engaging in distance learning, right? And if you're not keeping track of that now, you might look at that 2 months from now when you're doing your retrospective on your efforts and realize, oh man, none of our homeless students ever engaged, and because we weren't looking for it. So it's just an example of, I think, where, you know, for once maybe we can actually get ahead of something instead of thinking back to how do we monitor, especially because, you know, the state's never going to give us this data, so we're really responsible within our own local context as to how we do that. So I think that's the really nice thing about this tool. I just wanted to add that sort of thinking around it as a tool for equity as well as for measuring.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Melissa. So it's color coded, as you can see, and these color codings align to the topics here on the front page. And so I'll share those in an email following this session. The other thing that we're working on is updating the interim metrics list. I believe actually Nick was working on this, and so these are suggested possible interim measures and engagement activities related to the required state priorities. So we'll be updating this, and we can send that out to you. But in the meantime, we thought that this might be very helpful to you as you're thinking about the current situation and what information you want to be looking at. Does anyone else have anything? Any questions they might want to share or comments to add around this current topic?
And we certainly welcome your input too. If you, once you get these documents and can take a look at them, if you think there's something missing that would benefit our, colleagues in other districts in terms of what are things that we're monitoring right now, so that ultimately when we report to our public and to our stakeholders, we would obviously love to learn from you on how you're doing that, what it is that you're measuring, how you're collecting it, and then what your communication plan is. How is that being shared as well?
Definitely. And if the need is there and you want to get together, I know that our next office hours will probably be filled with discussion around the webinar and just the potential executive orders that should be coming out. But that was scheduled to be our last one as a follow-up to the March LCAP video. But we can certainly keep Tuesdays as 2 going on to continue to have discussions of how you're doing, what you're doing around supporting your districts as needed. So if you want to keep those up, we can certainly do that.
I see lots of nodding and yes, please.
Awesome, thank you. I have the little, oh, I know why I can't see all the pictures, because I'm sharing my screen and they all went away. So awesome, okay, I can do that. We'll keep if Fridays at 2 are a good thing, as Kip noted earlier, then we can just keep that time, because then we know that that's just our standing time.
And Naomi, I may have missed this. I apologize for being late to this group, but did we seek input yet about the preference for in lieu of our May workshop? I don't know if we had asked that question.
No.
What the districts, we typically would have our self-reflection workshop in May, but again, probably not feasible. We won't be in person for one, and it'll be hard to do self-reflection in a Zoom chat. So nor do we know timelines with 100% certainty. So what might support look like? What feedback can you give us so that we can, carry forward support through the rest of the year with knowing that we have some uncertainties right now?
No, thank you for bringing that up, Melissa. I will. I would like to gather that data so that we can make sure to provide the guidance that you want and support that you need. I'm laughing because I see the comment on Grubhub. So does Uber Eats, by the way.
But do they have breakfast burritos? Because that's really the question.
Yes. Do you know that I've been pondering how I was going to get breakfast burritos out to everybody?
And yes, Brenda, I see your comment. Definitely, we don't necessarily need input right now, but just a reflective question as we move forward. What might support look like from our office to support you in whatever we end up with in terms of our submissions this year? We certainly want to design that with your needs in mind and not just based on what we think would be the best approach. And we will consider the breakfast burritos, Jason, as we move forward as well.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of us will be even more informed, and maybe questions and reflection will happen after we hear next Tuesday, between receiving the executive orders and the guidance from CDE from that webinar. So I think that'll give us that will give you guys a lot of food for thought and to give us some feedback. And so on that note, I don't want to keep you on here unnecessarily. I know that you have things to do. It's a Friday afternoon. It's a beautiful day outside. I've been in front of my computer all day, so I have not stepped out yet. So hopefully at the end of my workday I can. But I'll stay on until 3 o'clock. And if there are no other questions, I wish you a great Friday afternoon and a great weekend. And if anything comes out, I will let you guys know, and we'll talk about it next Friday for sure. And as always, feel free to text or email me. That's what you guys are really great at, and I try to respond as soon as I can. Take care, you guys.
Bye, guys.